I am paying for it.
No doubt. With interest.
With interest, we are paying for it. With that said, I had two sets of thoughts which will help you. The entire journey of the Eastern wisdom, or let us say, every text of Eastern wisdom is like a mirror. When I see a mirror, I don't see a mirror, I see myself. So every text of the Eastern wisdom, once we are a seeker, we see ourselves. We see ourselves. That is why you said, I am relatively calm inside. Normally, we have a lot of challenges outside, we don't see ourselves. Normally, I would say 99% of the people, they don't see themselves.
That's an interesting point. I think now I'm paying more attention to what's happening inside of me than what's happening outside, which is interesting. I didn't notice that, but that's true. I think, that's a shift that I could definitely say is changed.
It's a big shift because all the problems and opportunities are revolving around me. Whether that me is false I or the real I. Go ahead, you can continue the journey. I can go on speaking on that, but I'm holding myself. So that is one aspect. Second aspect is also very important that you should note down, and it will be a reminder to you. In another text, I'm giving a reference from there, that text says that there is a higher seeker, there is a medium seeker, and there is an ordinary seeker. It is related to the same statement that I made. How come? The higher seeker, now you have to see, when I said that you see yourself, what do you see? So that is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. It answers everything. The higher seeker is like, you use the mala for meditation, japa. So you don't see the thread which weaves all the beads. So all the beads are people around you, opportunities around you, problems around you, challenges around you that you can easily see. But people don't see the thread that weaves all the beads together. So a higher seeker is aware, he has that attitude, who is aware of the thread and also the beads. And normally everyone is aware of the beads, means challenges and opportunities. One inflates oneself when you have a lot of money and lot of ideas of a pleasure, and one gets upset when you have lot of challenges in the problems. But this is, none of them is me. I am the thread. I am deep inside. And that person continues the journey until he perceives that they are bound to happen because of my past actions, impressions, my perception. And now, because I am aware of that thread, or you can say I have a flash of the inner self, That is helping me to maintain my calmness and peace. That is the
Well,
role.
even like you said, the world doesn't have a problem, right? The
Yeah,
world is a problem. So even if I'm in the world,
yeah,
there's going to be problems,
yeah,
no matter how I act, right? Like I think.
yes, yes. So higher seeker has a higher level of awareness. He has a typical attitude who perceives the problems is living outside. Thread is not a bead. It's very clear. So that is, can we say that there is a this is this awakening? Answer is yes. This is the beginning. So higher seeker is of that nature. Come what may, whatever the world poses, the problems and opportunity, he doesn't inflate if he has lot of money, and he doesn't get upset if he has none. If one leaves or one comes, doesn't matter.
I was looking at it and I thought, what if my business, because a business you raise it like a child, I have had my business since it's 18 years of raising this child, and now it's sick and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could die.
yeah,
And I thought, what an interesting test of attachment and
yeah, yeah,
progress I've made or haven't made. And some days I get caught up and I realize like, okay, reset. I'm not definitely not perfect, but it's amazing.
so
What's changed is I don't have a hope of some outside event changing. I don't think if this and that were to happen, I'm going to be happy, so I'm going to wish for that. Like that part of thinking is sort of. I
yes,
can now see the reality of life in that
reality
sense.
of life. Yes, yes. And that brings us, yes, yes, you are reflecting the way you are reflecting. That indicates you are moving in between the higher seeker and the medium seeker. Now, what about the medium seeker? So, the higher seeker perceives all the beings in the state of equanimity. That is the height of karma yoga. But the medium seeker perceives these challenges in four different ways. First way, that he perceives that his practice continues and he is committed seeker. Then he perceives the world outside. There are fellow seekers with whom he has an attitude of friendliness. Third group of the seekers who are, you know, third group you can say who are ignorant about this journey. So he has an attitude of kindness towards them. The fourth group of the people and the situation where this master is again top of the line. So the fourth group of the seeker are almost like a non-seeker, or opposes that. For those people, he is indifferent. Now apply this in the current situation. There are people who constantly blames and complains and reacts to you. Remain indifferent to them. Do your duty. Do your duty. That is why I said so medium level of a seeker, because people higher seeker cannot reach to that state. You cannot reach to a state of the higher seeker. So we use the different tools. A sense of indifference to those who opposes, a sense of kindness to those who are ignorant, and a sense of friendliness to those who appreciates, who understands, And the fourth is that I am a committed seeker. I remind myself. So what happens? You have no chance of falling down. You don't have a chance of falling down because every day we meet people of different characters. We find different situations. Same thing applies. A situation is very challenging. Remain indifferent. Look at it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. And maintain that poise. There is the role of the sama, dhamma, uparama, titiksha, tapa. All these comes. That is what. But the ordinary seeker, you're not an ordinary seeker, but we should know that ordinary seeker, what they do, they are committed seekers as long as the practice continues. So for 1 hour, for 2 hours of the practice, they are committed. They have a sense of divinity in them. But just after 2 hours of the practice, they become devils. Their attitude and behavior do not change. They have a long way to go. Why I explained you the three types. Sometime we may slip down, so we should recognize and remember, no way, I have to pursue, I have to recognize, I have to realize. And these principles and the knowledge means that I'm seeing myself. So I'm falling down, so I'm seeing myself. I am becoming a non-seeker. I have to rise above.
Well, I now see that the delusion of happiness anywhere else is gone. So now I'm like, if I don't, seeking is the only way now, which is I think at a certain point, there's no way maybe you could go backwards, but I think you would just go crazy.
Yeah.
But I think there's no way I could fool myself now. I have to seek even more, or else
yes.
what other option is there? That is like the only option.
Yes. Because why there is only one option? It is not out of the ignorance. It is out of the knowledge. It is out of the understanding. The entire purpose of the life is the self-discovery. And all my actions that results outside as a failure or a success is a part of karma yoga. So I need not to worry about it. I need not to think about it. I am not attached to it. So you see, I have explained you the 7th verse totally in a different way. That is another explanation of the 7th verse, where the master says animal mind cannot go inside. But now you have already told me I have a human intellect that can go inside and can see. Animal mind cannot become the seeker and enjoyer. We have a choice to drop that enjoyership and the doership. How we have to do it? By purifying purity of the mind, by the sama, dhamma, uparati, titiksha, etc., sensory control. That's what this master is talking about. Yoga yukto, that is how yoga yukto, that is how I unite with the yoga. So here I am uniting with that thread of which I was not aware, but now I am aware. Oh, internally there is a calm and peace which cannot be disturbed by anything happening outside. So that is a reflection of the karma sannyasa. That what body, mind, intellect, and ego is working outside, but internally there is something which is not at all influenced and affected by it. And that comes from the 5.9 and the 10th verse, which says, you reject every time the mind says, I am the doer. You reject. And then at the level of the sense organ, at the level of the perception, you see and become aware. I'm not the perceiver, I'm not the seer, I'm not the smeller, I'm not the feeler, I'm not the hearer, etc. That is the ninth verse, and the 10th pertains to the motor organs. I'm not the doer, I'm not the man. That is where that inner presence will be felt all the time. And the moment I become the perceiver, feeler, and the thinker, that inner presence will be lost, will be veiled, will be covered, will be dusted in the mirror. That is why the Master is saying that we need to understand. It is just a matter of awareness at this stage. So,
is it common in I feel like it's common in other things, but as you progress, I almost feel like I was thinking about it when you said, you're not a lower seeker or whatever the term was. I was thinking nowadays I feel so much more humility that I feel like I'm like not a seeker at all. Like I'm really not a seeker. I feel like I can't claim that in any way, even though I work at it all the time. Now it's like, man, I used to think I was a seeker. Now I feel like I'm just a
greater the humility is the sign of a higher seeker. Greater the humility is the sign of a higher seeker. Because he perceives the thread, that inner presence who weaves all the situation, people, things around. Why we have this sense of humility? Because now I don't identify myself with the age, with the color, with the profession, with the wealth, with the so-called ego. So then what is left? What is left is the humility. So you see, it is the absence of that ego. It is the absence of the impurities of the mind. That results into awareness of the humility. What I have to do, I need not to be attached to this thing. So the knower of the real self understands that the real self is not the doer of action. Because if I am the doer of action, then I can brag, then I can inflate the ego. If I can claim my peace depends on something outside, then obviously I can inflate my ego. Then the humility is lost. So yes, that's a good experience. The knower of the real self observes the functioning of these senses, whether it is the sense organs or the motor organs. Internally, I'm aware of that. That thread is weaving the five senses and the five motor organs. When I'm thinking, it is the intellect and the mind, and the expression is weaved from the same presence. But knower of the real self observes the functioning of these sense organs. Knower of the real self understands that the real self is not the doer of actions. So this is what the wisdom is. The wise person realizes that my essential nature is different and apart from performing the actions, perceiving the things around. The knower of the real self recognizes that the senses interact with the sense objects. The real self is not interacting with them. Same thing applies. The knower of the real self recognizes that the motor organs interact. But there is no real self which is playing any part and role. So because unless I identify myself with these sense organs, motor organs, or you can say perceiver, feeler, and the thinker, I will caught up. I get caught up. So we have to be very much aware and alert during this journey. The knower of the real self remains detached from the actions of the senses. And when you are detached from the action of the senses, the instant result is that you don't feel tired, you are relaxed and calm. You're relaxed and calm and poised. You don't have too much of thoughts, too much of conflict inside your head. Because you see them clearly, you know the cause. That is what the verse number 9 and the 10th is talking about. The knower of the real self abides in the real self, which is distinct from the senses and their actions. 5.8 and 9, not 9 and 10. That needs to be understood. So on one hand, I am doing a karma yoga, the sama, dhamma, uparama, titiksha, during these times of testing, and that is bringing the result in a realization and a recognition that knower. I think, did we talk about it? No, I think we are going to talk about it. So this principle, Krishna is going to talk about it, that there is a field and there is a knower of the field. Knower of the field is different from the field. And what is that field? The field consists of sense organs, motor organs, body, mind, intellect, and ego. That is the entire field. They interact with the objects and people and relationship outside, but the knower remains independent. Knower is always free, whether you say it's a knower or a seer or an observer or a witness consciousness, whatever we say, whatever you want to say, it remains totally independent and free from it. That is the role of that is the journey of a higher seeker. Because he sees clearly the beads are separate from the thread. But I have certain dark areas where whenever I enter and I identify self, so the 10th verse says, I should continue to perform the duty without attachment. Without attachment. Journey towards non-doership is to merge with the real self. It's a non-doership is working without attachment. He who abandons attachment. Now you see you are linking. So you have to contemplate and reflect. Attachment on one hand, enjoyer and the doership. They both are really closely intertwined. So there is a sense of attachment inside me which causes the doership, which claims that I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. So that is why the master is saying what he's saying. He who having abundant attachments acts reposing his works on the real self. Oh, the real self is the doer. So whenever sometime your mind is confused, so you ask your intellect, oh, he is the doer. Oh, there is only one doer. There is only one enjoyer. I'm neither the doer nor the enjoyer.
Why? How is it attachment creates that? I know identifying with the body, that makes sense, and mind and senses, but how does attachment make us think we are the doer, or where does it?
So I have already reflected on what exactly is attachment. Do you remember? Do you remember the phrase, I plus I desire?
Oh, yeah.
So now think this, I plus I desire, they both are mixed up, then I have to become a doer. I have
because
to make
I desire the thing, so
I plus I desire. Yes, I have already discussed that in a different way. So attach is from the So why you are attaching to the world outside? Why don't you attach to the real self? Seeker now not tainted by the sins of being the doer and the enjoyer. I plus I desire, you break up that relationship. How the master gives an example like a lotus leaf not tainted by the water. The water continues to fall on the lotus leaves, but the water does not wet the lotus leaf. So what wet the lotus leaf? Here in our case, I plus I desire, I plus I hope, I plus I am angry, I plus I don't like you, I plus I hate you, I plus I enjoy this. Because I plus I enjoy this, so I have to be an enjoyer to enjoy that. So doer springs up. Instantly the doer springs up because of attachment, because of attachments. Look at this beautiful way to understand the verse conveys that the person who performs the action without attachment, offering it to the real self, offering it to the Shiva, remains untainted by the sin. Untainted by the sin. What is sin? Self-inflicting thoughts, feeling, and emotion. What is sin? Sin is just self-inflicting thoughts, feeling, and emotion, where the doership is always present. So that is what the 10th verse, once who performs, seeker performs their duty without attachment, recognizing the actions are done by the Shiva, that is one approach. And the other approach, I am not the doer. So we juggle around between the higher seeker and the medium seeker, and it is okay. It is okay in the beginning. Gradually we enter into the higher level of a seeker that I just explained to you. The repeated use of I followed by desire, thought, want, likes is often a sign of attachment. That is what I broke up into two parts. I plus I desire, I plus I thought, I plus I want, I plus I like, I plus I dislike. You see? I broke up in a very simple word and it becomes very easy to understand the attachment. I desire attachment to pleasure, possessions or experiences. That is the meaning of I desire. I think means I have an attachment to ideas, opinions or belief. See that? I want. So I want attachment to outcomes and goals. When I say I want, I plus I want. So I simply means attachment to ideas, outcomes and the goals. Expectations. When I say I like, go deeper into it. It means attachment to preferences, habits, or a comfort zone. That is the meaning of, and there is a sense of attachment. I desire, I think, I want, I like. So you should be very clear about what is this attachment is. Attachment game is created by the impulsive, instinctive, habitual, ignorant mind. I told you, dog feels like licking. They don't have an option. They will continue to do so. You give them the bite of the food and the dog will sit down near you. They are expecting another bite. So now think of our mind. I am expecting another bite. That is what the attachment is. Okay, I recognize now what is this. So you can play with the attachment. Attachment is playing with you through the mind, and now you can play with the attachment, and you will see that what a freedom. What a freedom. Otherwise, attachment binds us and it creates a bondage, and that bondage creates a sense of anxiety, duality, conflict. I told you that I volunteered a session to this Ukraine group. I said you have to think what I want, I don't get it. Why? What I want, I don't get it. What I get, I don't like it. Why? What I like, it does not remain forever. Why? All because of attachment. It is all because of attachment. I have to find out what I want, I don't get it. I am wanting something which is not possible. Am I wanting because of the delusion? So how I can get it? So attachment means that I am perceiving the delusion, which I don't believe that delusion is a reality. I perceive the delusion as a reality, that also causes the attachment. So I recognize, oh my goodness, I was seeking happiness from there, which is not there. Now, from that standpoint, you understand this attachment. I like means I have an attachment to preferences, habits, or comfort zone. When I say I want, I have an attachment to outcome, goals, and expectations. When I say I think, I have an attachment to the ideas. So should I not think? No, I should think. I should think without attachment. Opinion or belief. Attachment, I desire to pleasure, possessions, or experiences. So the master is saying, don't do that. You will fall back again. So that is when we now continue. You see the continuity of the teaching of the Krishna. In the 11th verse, he says, Kayena manasa buddhaya kevalai indriya api. Therefore, the seeker do works with the body, mind, understanding, and even merely with the organs of action, abandoning attachment for self-purification. It's a very important verse. So the master is saying that where is the reason for your attachment? Is this the sense organ is working, performing their respective functions? You cannot see through your ears. Eyes are an instrument to see. Ears are an instrument to hear. Nose is an instrument to smell. So they are doing their work. So where is this eye has come in between? Why you bring the eye? Why you are forcing these sense and motor organs, including the body and the mind, with a sense of I-ness? Is there any reason for it? Yes, there is a reason, because you are attached. So when you are performing the actions, when you are seeing that the body, mind, intellect, ego, senses, and the motor organs are performing their respective actions, you simply observe them, you become aware of it. That is the art of mental purification, because there is no doer, there is no enjoyer.
I think then you can see the world as it is, right?
You can see the world as it is. The world outside, even
perceived through our ego.
Yes, you don't see. So in Ashtavakra Gita, we have started with that something last year or 2 years ago. So in Ashtavakra Gita, Ashtavakra, that master say, what do you want to renounce? Now you see the other part of it. That is the higher level, and I want to mix up these two so that it facilitates a deeper understanding. So the Ashtavakra, while teaching to his seeker, his student, he says, what do you want to renounce? What do you want to leave? When you say you are attached to this object and you want to leave the object, okay? You want to leave the object. So ask yourself, does the object belongs to you? Did you create the object? So the master says you go on thinking about it. Reflect on it. I am deeply attached to this remote, so I want to throw it. No, don't throw it. Wait. Apply the knowledge. Does this remote belongs to you? Did you create this remote at all? So when you start questioning, you realize that nothing is created by you, and you are claiming that you want to renounce. So why I'm saying so, you see, when you claim that you want to renounce, you want to drop attachment, there is a hidden ego that is working. That should also be dropped. In this way, you can you can purify the mind. That is Ashtavakra says. Udeti bhavate. That is another verse from the Ashtavakra that blow our mind. What it says, the second verse he says, that I just got it and I written it. The second one is to realize that all the reality which manifests around you as your perceptual world is a projection of yourself. What it means? It simply means you see the person sitting in front of you and he has a different expression, and that expression is given a wrong interpretation by your mind. So you are projecting yourself from that person is against you, is reacting to you. In the similar way, the entire world, which is constantly changing, and the moment you are attached to it, that attachment helps you to realize it is just your projection. So don't project. Do not project. I'm attached to this remote. I'm not projecting now. I plus I like this remote. So I like this remote is dropped. So the projection is gone. Projection is gone, so you are happy and calm here and now. You don't create a burden that I am attached to this object or this thing in the world, hence I have to work hard to get rid of this attachment. No, only the knowledge is required. Only an awareness is required. How come awareness is required? This house is not created by me. This body is not created by me. Sense organs are not created by me. If it belongs to me, then I can reject it. If it does not belong to me, are you getting it? It does not belong to me. It has come like a guest and it will leave like a guest. No. See another part. I am attached to this light. And now my eyes are looking at you. This attachment to the light has already gone. It is the I thought that keeps the attachment alive. No sense organs are attached to their respective objects. I force myself because of ignorance. I force myself because of delusion. Oh, I haven't seen you, honey, since morning. Where you have been? Now see, this is thought is attaching you. Your eyes are not attached. Your eyes were perfect. Your eyes are perfect. Eyes were working perfect. Until your mind comes and say, honey, I didn't see you since morning. Where you have been, come and sit with me. So I have already created an attachment. Look at this. This verse is so beautiful. So, from Ashtavakra, not from the Gita, but from the Ashtavakra. So now what he master says, did you understand this, master? So master says to the seeker, did you understand? So then I'm again referring to the Ashtavakra Gita. That is another. So the master said, did you understand? The senses are not at all attached to their respective objects. Otherwise, once you are attached to one smartphone, you will remain attached to it. You won't leave.
I think it's always interesting. Last night I was reading a book called Surrender and Freedom by Dayananda, but it's exactly about this topic about, if we didn't create it, we can't claim it as ours, right? And he walks through several examples, but I think it's like talking about someone who owns a flat. Like, what do they own in a building? If you got four walls and, the delusion that comes with ownership of homes or, a spouse or a child. So it was funny. I was literally just.
Yes. Dayananda deeply picks up this principle and he explains beautifully. Yes, I remember also that Dayananda talks in detail about this. Now, Ashtavakra gives a little twist to this. First, he says sense organs cannot be attached to anything by default. They are independent. Your nose can smell one fragrance and then it can smell the other fragrance. You go to the perfume shop. Oh, let me taste this. They are independent totally. Eyes are independent. Ears are independent. Same thing with the motor organs are independent. So the master says here is the practice of discernment is required. So you dissolve the false, you dissolve the delusion, you dissolve the projection by discernment. What is discernment? Discernment is separating the mixture from what is false and the real. Now I see my eyes are totally independent, my nose is totally independent. Why? And then I recognize it is the mind with the I plus I desire, I plus I want. Oh, here lies the attachment. Here lies the attachment. Senses are not at all at fault. Motor organs are not at fault. Body, mind, intellect, and ego, they are working on their own. Let them continue to work. Why should I add the I-ness there as a doer and the enjoyer? And that results into the purification of the mind. That results into the absence of ego. So now there is an absence of ego. I plus I desire. So now when the I desire is gone, then how long the I will sustain itself? How long the I will sustain? Yes, Swami Dayananda, I respect, I love him. I had a chance to meet him in US also when he did not die in 2008. He has a big ashram in Pennsylvania. Very big ashram. I think they are built and sustained by the Indian businessmen. A very beautiful ashram. I had a chance to meet him. I sat at his feet and I said, oh, so he was just joking. You do yoga? I said, yes. So yoga. So do you also do a headstand? I said, no, I have left it long back. So
his intellect is like razor sharp, I feel like.
Oh, he is very sharp. And he learned under Swami Chinmayananda also for a couple of years. Then he had his own. So ego is in the body and the mind. When the ego is in the body and the mind, including the sense organ, as delusion, means that I desire, I want, I like. It is as a delusion in the body-mind complex. That is what we need to understand. It is a delusion. It is like a mirror as water. Fact is that when you start going inside and find I, where is I like, where is I want, where, which part, you don't find it. So when you don't find it, it is a delusion. So the master Ashtavakra, I'm bringing Ashtavakra again, he says, no, you have to discern. You have to apply the discernment. And then what will happen because of the discernment? Then you will not create another I to detach yourself. That is more important. That is why I instantly remembered in the morning, and I said, oh, I have to bring this. That is how we teachers bring these principles from one text to the other. We combine and we understand, oh, this is very important for this seeker. So what happened now? For the sake of language, we refuse the entry of this I desire, I like, I want. And the moment you refuse the entry, you're happy, you recognize, you realize you're happy. Mind lives into the higher. Now we are still a higher seeker now. Now see that. You are still a higher seeker. So when I drive, I say, Shiva, are you the driver for me? And yes. Okay, you drive. My sense organ are perceiving the road. My mind looking at the road, and intellect is making a decision that I have to shift the gear or I have to give a brake. So that I is not the driver. The moment I have a sense of I am driver, then the problem comes. Then the I makes its entry, and when the I makes its entry, then the I says you are driving good, you are not driving good, you are driving crazy, lot of stuff. So the seeker, now that is the meaning, the seeker abundance attachment. So you see that now if we use the word abundant means that I'm forcibly doing something. No, I'm recognizing, realizing, understanding that knowledge is planted instead of a delusion, and that is the meaning of abundance attachment. Seeker perform action using their body, mind, intellect, and senses. You asked a question, so I have to answer. So that I, for the sake of language, but then you become aware that it is the larynx, it is the intellect, it is the information, the knowledge, it is the lips, it is the tongue, and the air. Oh, everything is being done by the body-mind complex. That is all. Let it be done. So
well, it's kind of like when you consciously try to walk and chew gum, but you're actually aware trying to do it. It's like impossible. You can't walk right? You walk funny. But when you just let yourself walk, it takes care of itself.
It takes care of itself. If you become conscious, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And conscious means that now that I is attached there. So I take the birth. And when the I takes the birth, that is the delusion. And obviously the delusion causes the problem. The seeker performs actions using body, mind, intellect, and the senses. I have to understand these verses so clearly. I have to repeat it. I have to contemplate and reflect through many different ways until your intellect starts shining in the wisdom and the discernment. Okay, today also, how many works I did and how many works are done by the body, mind, senses, and the motor organs. You will find that you have some kind of a pain, some kind of an expectation, some memories of some impressions where you forgot that ego has returned. you will remember those moments. You will never remember those moments which you have not done, which has been performed by the body, mind, senses, and the intellect and the ego. You go for a window shopping. In the window shopping, that I is very, very little. Its I is very small because it is not going to the window shopping with an attachment, with a sense of I desire, with a sense of I want, with a sense of I will buy. Window shopping means just going, taking a round and come back. You look, you see everything as it is. You see the same shop again and again. You see the same cloth. What is missing? I desire. That is why I thought that I should explain I plus I desire is attachment. I plus I want is attachment. I plus I like is attachment. I plus I think is attachment. You see that. It just came to my mind, window shopping, it's very clear. It's how seeker performs action without identifying the doer. You don't identify with the doer because that I desire is absent inside in window shopping.
It seems that modern teachers are trying to tell people the opposite, to be like fully conscious,
No.
right in the now. That probably creates so many problems if you're trying to do that.
That is not the teaching of Gita. People try to intellectualize it, but if you have not a traditional teacher with whom you have learned, you will not get that insight. That understanding cannot happen only because of your intellectual acumen. So seeker performs the action, ultimately the last point, for the purification of the self. Now you have purified the mind. This is what the purification of the mind. My goodness. So we have to understand the purification of the mind totally in a different way. It is not like the cleansing the clothes. It is not like cleansing the bowls in a kitchen. It is by knowledge. It is by that identification is broken, dissolved, merged. Then what happens? It is the purification of the mind. So, does the impurity of the mind is related to I? Yes. Related to the way I perceive, the way I am a perceiver, feeler, and a thinker? Yes. Ultimately, it boils down that you create an I-ness which is not there, and that creates the entire world of attachment, detachment, likes and dislikes, stressed mind, angry mind. I have covered that. Stressed mind, angry mind, sheep mind, money mind, etc. It's a long list. So those minds are now gone. Tell me, your mind is not pure now? And that mental purity has a sense of humility naturally, because that pure mind has to live with the humility. But we have to guard ourselves in the beginning as a life of a seeker. We should not turn down, we should not go down to the second medium level of a seeker or the first level of a seeker. Sometimes the mind with I desire, why it is not happening? I make an extra effort. Extra effort is a sign of the ego that says, I have done so much, nothing has happened. And there we break that understanding, we fall down. So you seeker actions now, seeker is still highly active in the world, and purity of the mind. Now see that what happens. Krishna says in the 12th verse, now check yourself what happens. You are in peace, you are in humility. That is what the 12th verse is. You see now, because we have detailed explanation, So now you can easily understand. So what happens? I plus I desire is gone. Those stressed mind, anxiety mind, sheep mind, money mind, they all have gone. Where they have gone? They do not exist. Why they don't exist? They were existing because of the delusion. What was the delusion? The I-ness. Or you can say attachment was the delusion. Now nothing is left. So now what is left? So the master answers in the 12th verse, what is left? So when you drop, master says, when you abandon the attachment, or you can say when you abandon the I-ness, he will use the same again in a different verse. But here he's abandoning the attachment to the fruit of the work, the self in union with the real self at peace. You discover not only peace, I will add, you will discover, you recognize that the peace is there, the humility is there, humility is also there, the peace is there. Yes, the peace is there. So I'm just performing my duty. That I'm just talking to you. Let me perform my duty without expecting, so that desire is not there. So then I could find out the peace and the humility inside. Peace and humility here and now I can find out. So now I have become a seeker of the karma yoga who has not only abundance, the attachment, but also the fruits of an action. Now both are done. Inner attitude has developed here. That is what we covered in the third chapter, Karma Yoga. Attitude inside, fruits of the action outside is dropped. Attitude of a non-doer inside, and that results into Karma Yoga. So Master is saying now that seeker, because he abandons attachment inside of the I-ness, then obviously I have to drop the fruits of an action outside. And now that person lives in inner peace, calmness, and the poise plus the humility. You feel a sense of burden has gone from you. Otherwise, this mind enters into every cell of the body. It makes it conscious and it says you are fully busy. You have to do this. You have to do a lot of things. And that prevents you to have a sound sleep. That keeps you into the state of anxiety and the reaction. Mind enters into every cell of your body. It unorganizes everything in your life, body and the mind complex. That is why we say it is the body and mind complex. Look at it, the focus. Now what is your focus? The focus is on the duty, performance of the duty. By abandoning attachment, I'm using the word again and again. The karma yoga attains the steady peace. So I am doing a karma yoga. You may be sweating, but internally you find you are in peace. You are in peace. You are in peace. That seeker performs the action as a means of self-discovery. Now all your actions, whether you are going to the restroom, you are performing an act in a business, it is all for the sake of the self-discovery, means it is for the sake of the purification of the mind. It is for the sake of purification of the mind. That is the meaning. So because you are performing all your actions in the peace and the humility. So those who are non-seekers become attached either to the fruits of their actions and through the desire, and through that I desire is the attachment. That is why the master is constantly repeating, abandon this attachment. Abandon this attachment. Attachment lives in the mind. Attachment does not live anywhere in the object. It is not tangible. It is purely intangible, but it is a part of the delusion. It is a part of the attachment. So once I recognize, you see, my friend, that the people always say, I'm attached to this thing, but they don't know what is this attachment. They cannot define it. Ask Carlene, are you attached to uh, your daughter? And then, yes, I'm deeply attached. And then ask them, can you define attachment if you are attached? They will not. That is the part of ignorance. Ignorance means I am attached and still I don't know what is ignorance. What is attachment? So the master comes out with these 5 and 6 verses, starting with, I'm not the doer. Don't get attached to these sense organs. Don't get attached to these motor organs. Don't get attached. Then he goes down step by step. He says, this is what the attachment is. And then he says, because of the power of discernment, you drop this attachment. Power of discernment lives in the intellect. So I have to contemplate and reflect. I have to see in my head where is the attachment. And the moment you go and see, like a mirage water, you cannot find the water, and that results into peace and happiness. Attachment to the fruits of the actions leads to bondage. That is why you are dropping it. Craving the result is because of the attachment. Attachment to the fruits of an action, desire for the expected outcome, I have to drop it. Craving for the desired outcome, it means I desire, and that is continuing. The same, same words and the phrases means the same thing. And that creates the bondage and the suffering in our life. Bondage.
Instead of the mind entering every cell of the body and essentially disorganizing the naturalness, right? The process. That's an interesting. I've never thought of it that way, but
yeah.
I could see what disease probably comes a lot from that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially like autoimmune disease or something.
Yeah. They come from. Aurobindo clearly stated, he talks in detail about all the diseases, which also includes the cancer and so-called the incurable diseases, comes from the vasana, the reservoir, the storehouse of the past impressions that push my mind to become the doer with a sense of attachment and detachment that changes the entire chemistry of the body and the mind. It results into many illnesses. So he talks about cellular consciousness. So I'm not going there, so it's not. Now the next verse is more interesting. The embodied self perfectly controlling its nature, having renounced all its actions by the mind, sits serenity in its 9-gated city, neither doing nor causing to be done. So what he is saying, we have a 9-gated community. This body is a city of 9 gates. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 6. 7th is mouth, 8th is the anus, and the 9th is the genital. 9-gated community. That is how we talk in Eastern wisdom. This is a 9-gated community. It's a gated community. So when it is gated community, when you have a power of discernment. And when these gates are broken because of the attachment, because of the I-ness. Because that gated community is broken, you allow the entry of the objects of which you are attached. You allow the entry of those people with whom you are angry or upset. You allow that. So I will use the word gated community with discernment, and then you are free. Then you are free. Find solution where attachment is located. So the master is pointing out, I have to find out where the attachment is located. It is that the attachment is located, it is in the mind. So why the master is referring the 9 gates? So a higher seeker who has transcended the attachment identifies with the thread or the real self rather than the body and the mind. You are free from those. Remember this, it's very important. Some people start quantifying the journey of the self discovery and putting a timetable to it. Not possible. It is a qualitative journey, it is not a quantitative journey.
I think that's people go wrong. They think if I do a practice 2 hours a day for 20 years, I'll definitely get there. But that's not going to do it.
No, you still remain in ignorance. Your 2 hours is a waste. You are still living in a delusion, and you enter into many kinds of hallucinations and imaginations after 20 years, and you start a cult and a dogma. So there are many cult and the dogma are present in the United States. I will take you to the heaven. Even in Christian community, I had a chance to meet a couple of people in New Jersey, and they say, "No, we will take you to the heaven." I said, "I'm not interested at present in going to the heaven. I'm better placed in hell also." So they say that you have to do these practices, you have to sit like this, you have to eat like this, and the way that Jesus took the bread and the wine. So you have to take this, you have to spend 3 days in a cellular box. I don't want to name that cult. They will be after me. So dropping attachment from the mind is the key. Dropping attachment. So ultimately, when he talks about this 9 gates, so he is talking about that the city of 9 gates is a systematic representation of the human body. The 9 gates refer to the 9 openings in the body. Why 9 openings? From there, the mind goes outside and it creates a delusion of the pleasure or the pain. So that is why the 9 gates. That is why the 9 gates. That is why the 9 gates are understood. The self-realized person or a seeker neither acts nor causes others to act because of attachment through these 9 gates. So these 9 gates have to be understood with reference to it's a gated community. Why it is a gated community? I screen every object, every person, relationship to enter inside with the permission of discernment and dispassion. So I am making it as a gated community, which becomes easy. So now let us go to the last one also, the 5.13. What it says, the embodied, perfectly controlling the nature, having renounced all its actions by the mind. Yes, I have done this. 5.13 I have done. So now you see that 5.13th verse, that 9 gated community also points out something about the karma sannyasa. Now I'm not the doer, now I'm not the enjoyer, and then I live into that state. So did I get a flash of the karma sannyasa? Yes. Even all actions are being done outside, but internally at a deeper level of myself, as if I am a non-doer while performing all the actions. That is the meaning of the 9 gated community in a brief. That is another way to understand. The non-doership is understood here with the idea of 9 gated community. Now the 14th verse is a blow to our understanding, our delusion. Master says that you'll see that the world, you are not doing, you cannot do anything. It is done by the nature. What is the nature? Nature, another name of the nature is known as Prakriti. What is another name of the Prakriti? It is known as Maya. What is Maya? It is the power of the self. It is the power of the consciousness. So how that Maya is working? Maya is working by the three gunas. It is not here, but I'm explaining you in a different way. So it is, so Maya, delusion, illusion, this is all, so that is working through the three gunas. So under the three gunas, this body, mind, intellect, ego, sense organ, everything is working because of the three gunas. They will continue to work. Why you claim the doership? Why you claim the doership? Why you claim the enjoyership? That is the meaning. Not the state of the doer. It has nothing to do with the doer. No, so how can you be the doer? Why you don't understand? Krishna says, the divine does not create a person. The divine, or you can say the Shiva here, or the does not create an agency or action. First thing, that Shiva does not create any agency or action. That is the first movement. Second is that the Shiva does not create the connection between the action and their fruits. What does that mean? I work hard today. There are many factors. I'm expecting a result of $10,000. But those $10,000 should come to me. Not only depends on the effort by this body, mind, intellect, but also on many other factors in the entire universe. Many, many factors. So why should I worry about the results of an action? So that is the meaning here. The nature is responsible for action and their consequences. Can you hold the death of this body? Answer is no. You cannot. It is the work of the nature, work of the Prakriti, work of the three gunas. These three gunas are continuously working. Even a person having a cancer, doctor says you will die in 6 months. They have been living for 20 years. They defied. So it is not that they defied, it is the nature. It is the working of the nature. In spite of the cancer, you live. This beautiful girl, now is almost in her 50s. This Terry, I'm talking about Parkinson. She joins me every week from Newark. I told you that in 2008, she was just a bubbling lady. Girl. Now she is continuously sitting, lying down on her bed because of Parkinson. Very talented and very intelligent. You cannot. Doctor says, no, it is not possible. How you are living. But you are living. You are living. So neither agency nor actions. So when there is no doer, at least there is no instrument of action. You are not an instrument of action. Understand? Body is not you. Mind is not you. Mind is not you. Body is not you. So you see, there are a lot of stuff we will take up from where there we will start. You see, there are 6 aspects of any action. You remember this, and from there we will start. So you contemplate. First, there are 6 aspects. One aspect is the action part. Second aspect is the doership part. Third aspect is the fruit of the action. Fourth aspect is the enjoyership. Fifth aspect is the cause of an act. Sixth is the cause of the enjoyment. These are the 6 aspects of every action. So these are the 6 aspects of every action. So you contemplate and reflect. I will pick up from there that how these 6 aspects of the action causes the delusion in our life. 6 aspects of action or karma.
When I had action, doership, fruit, enjoyership, cause, what was the 6th? Or what did I miss?
First, what you have written?
Action.
Yes, the first is the action.
Second, doership.
Second is the doership.
Third is the fruit.
No, first is the action itself. Action. The first is the action. Second is the doership.
Got it.
Third is the fruit of the action. Fourth is the enjoyership. Fifth is the cause of an act. What is the cause of an act? Sixth is the cause of enjoyment.
Okay, got it.
Cause of the enjoyment. I'm taking a sip of the beer. The cause of enjoyment. It is so bitter. And does it become a cause of enjoyment? So we have to understand that. So we will pick up this verse in detail in our. So I will record the meditation, but then we will meet now on Saturday.